I'm thinking an analogy is rugby. And I played rugby when I was little, and I loved it when I was little, and everybody got bigger than me, and I didn't like it anymore. But when I played it, I loved it, because I think there are lots of things you learn. So you learn to step up and do difficult things when you have to. So that moment of truth when you have to tackle somebody, I think you learn to get on a certain strength that it's got to be done. For the team, it's the right thing to do, and I'm going to do it. I think you get a certain steeliness from having played rugby, and I like that. I also learnt the idea of moving into space, because if you stand right next to somebody, that you're not going to get the ball. So you move into a space, and you're much more likely to get given the ball and have a chance to run. And that whole idea of finding like almost gaps in the market, I think, is in rugby. But there's a third thing as well, which is
setting yourself apart. And doing difficult things.
Yes. Okay. There's a third thing, which is sometimes people would run backwards because they thought if they could go backwards and across, they could then go forwards. But what they don't realise is, if everybody was frozen to the spot, you could go back, round and forwards. But of course, everyone's not frozen. So when you move back, everybody follows you. And so you can only go back and round if you're much faster than anybody else. So as in Bayes, moving away from the objective in order to get round and get towards it in the end. But you have to know that's going to work. And so many times people just run away from the enemy. And I'm going, don't run away, because you're just going to get tackled right on your try line.
Yeah.
And so the idea of not running backwards, I think is also sort of built into life, but it's in rugby in a simpler, more clear to see form. And you have to always go forwards, really. Run
so I
forwards,
remember playing rugby as well, and I hated it from the day I played it. I concluded very quickly that it was a fool's errand. And to what purpose was I playing this game?
Scoring a try is the best feeling ever.
Well, if that was important in your particular life, I found it was a futile exercise. But and I did everything to get out of it. There wasn't a thing that I didn't do.
As soon as everyone got big, I got very good at avoiding.
And so I just avoided it all the time because
it
was just a fool's errand as far as I was concerned. I loved sailing because I could see the point in it, but rugby, pointless. I could never say, it's just, to me, there's no purpose.
But I think the fascination is the tactics. And it's a bit to do with having a plan, because if you know they've got a weakness, or they tend to do this, or they've all moved over that side, they're a bit thin over there, you have a plan. Well, let's go around the blind side and do this. And so I think it's almost like a chess game, but physical, and that you're looking at their plan, and you're thinking, well, I've got a plan to beat their plan. And then you realise, of course, they had a plan all along that was going to beat your plan.
So I just say, well, why don't you shoot them?
But it's not command and control.
It's much easier that way. I'll win. But
it's not command and control rugby, because each person's doing the right thing, like your ships.
Your duty,
Yeah, and it's evolving all the time, because you think suddenly you realise there's a gap or something's changed.
But the point is that it all occurs within this very structured format.
Well, I didn't like that.
The rule set. And that's the point.
It's like a chess game, isn't it? You've got rules, but can you win it?
So I like sailing because it was so random. So it was a much more random sport of which reality was pouring into you all this time, all these complicated factors.
So in some sense, the horizons were wider.
Much wider, yeah.
But the troubles were much more immediate.
Yeah.
I still don't really get sailing even now, actually. Sail racing I could get.
That's what I
did,
yeah.
But the idea of the chill, having to chill out as you sail.
Oh, lovely.
I find that difficult to do, but that's obviously
and that's why we're all different, aren't we?
Yeah,
which is great, isn't it? I mean, I just think that sort of these sports, that interests me because when we do sports that we pick sports that suit us, and there's lots of them.
Yeah,
football, rugby, tennis, squash, motorcycling and motor racing.
Yeah, there's a sport for everyone. Sport for everyone.
Yeah, when it comes to work,
but sports are a microcosm of work in lots of ways.
Right, yeah, but